Welcome to the Oasis. My name is Mike, and today I'm going to be talking about the Oculus Rift S. Now, it's been a few months now since the Rift S launched, and I've been using this headset quite a lot. And I feel like now is a good time to go over the good things and the bad things about this headset, as it is a bit of a mixed bag. But thankfully, there is a few accessories that I've been using to help improve the overall experience of using this headset. Now, hopefully this video will help some of you out there that are still on the fence about moving up from your original Oculus Rift, or for those of you out there that are considering the Rift S as your first PC VR headset. Now, full disclosure, this headset was provided for free by Oculus just prior to its release. However, I'm not sponsored or paid by Oculus, and my opinions are completely my own. So with that out the way, without further ado, let's dive in. Okay, so let's start this video off with a positive point. The Rift S is a comfortable headset. Now, I was skeptical at first of the Halo design, but I've actually come to like it quite a lot. Now, it's not the most comfortable headset on the market. In my opinion, I would say that the Valve Index is probably the most comfortable headset, followed by the original Oculus Rift, and then in third place is the Rift S. The headset has a good weight distribution through the Halo design head strap, meaning that using it for prolonged VR gaming sessions isn't a problem. My only gripe with the comfort with this headset is that the soft material padding and foam are glued to the actual headset itself, meaning they cannot be replaced. And after a few months of heavy use, playing games like Beat Saber and Until You Fall, it's getting kinda gross. So the replacement products in development right now from VR Cover can't come quickly enough. Next up, probably one of my least favorite aspects of the Rift S, and that is the audio. It's just not very good. The speakers built into the head strap lack bass, and it's a real step down from the excellent audio built into the original Oculus Rift. Even the built-in microphone isn't as good as the original Rift microphone. Thankfully though, this can be fixed with some headphones, although some brands can be difficult to get over the rigid Halo head strap, or my personal favourite solution is to use the Bionic Mantis clip-on earphones designed for the PSVR. Now, as the head straps for the PSVR and Rift S are similar in design, these earphones clip onto the Rift S head strap just fine. Sadly, they only come in white though, but I used some black model paint to quickly sort that out. They don't sound as good as the original Rift earphones, but they're much better than the Rift S stock solution in my opinion. I've linked to them in the description down below if you're interested in checking them out. Now let's move on to a big plus, and that is the content. And this is where the Oculus ecosystem really shines. And let's be honest about it, content is king. The Rift and Rift S share the Oculus Store, so if you're moving from a Rift to a Rift S, all the content that you've already bought will work without any issues at all. As Oculus are investing heavily into VR game development, they have some excellent exclusive Oculus titles. Vader Immortal, Asgard's Wrath, Stormland, and an upcoming game from Respawn Entertainment are just a few to be very excited about. I don't particularly support platform exclusivity and would prefer an open platform. However, this is something that's here to stay and is present in every corner of the gaming industry. And I completely understand that if Oculus are funding these titles, that they're exclusive to their platform. It's just a shame that for all the people out there that bought an Oculus Rift S, they didn't really have any big games for its launch, and they were mostly relying on a back catalogue of games instead. While if you look at the Oculus Quest, it had a plethora of new titles, including the excellent Vader Immortal, and these new Rift owners had to look on with envy until it came to their platform a month later. And this leads me nicely onto the setup. To use the Oculus Rift S, you'll need to install Oculus Home, and this serves as your hub for the headset, providing firmware updates, your game library, and your own virtual home environment, which you can customize to your liking. Although the Rift S had a bit of a rocky start on the software side, updates over the past few months have made significant improvements to tracking and eliminating bugs such as static flashes in the headset. Once the software is installed, all you need to do is plug the headset in using the Displayport and USB 3 cables, and that's it. Once set up, you simply trace the outline of your play space, and the Guardian system will pop up when you get close to the edges to ensure you don't bump into any furniture or walls. And you can also activate a pass-through mode at any time, which is really handy to get a glimpse of the real world around you if you need to. As the headset uses inside-out tracking, which I'll talk more about later, you don't need any external sensors or additional hardware, and this is what makes this headset ideal for those new to virtual reality, making it really accessible and and reducing the friction of setup when you compare it to the original Oculus Rift, current Vive, and Index. Also, Oculus has a great introduction to VR for newcomers using Oculus First Steps and Oculus First Contact, which act as great interactive tutorials. Since the Rift S was announced, it's caused a stir of confusion with its specifications. The headset runs a single LCD panel with a resolution of 1280 by 1440 pixels per eye, which runs at 80 Hz. And when you look at these specs on paper, this was disappointing to the hardcore Rift community, as it didn't compete with the resolution or refresh rates of the competition such as the Vive Pro, Valve Index, and some Windows mixed reality headsets. Even Oculus's own Quest headset offered a higher resolution. However, despite the specs on paper, in use it's actually very good. The drop to 80 Hz isn't noticeable at all in my opinion, and the display and optics are actually one of the big advantages of this headset. It's sharp and clear, making text easier to read, and provides vibrant colors with minimal screen door effect. Even when compared to the very expensive Valve Index, I actually prefer the lenses of the Rift S, as they have a much larger sweet spot and provide less God rays in contrasting scenes. The benefit of reducing the refresh rate of the headset to 80 Hz as opposed to 90 Hz is that despite having a higher resolution than the original Oculus Rift, they were able to keep the same minimum hardware specs required to run the headset. I've linked to the Oculus System Checker tool in the description down below, so you can check if your PC is up to scratch before buying one. One of the biggest issues with the Rift S though is the fixed IPD. Now IPD is your interpupillary distance, essentially the distance between the pupils of your eyes, and everyone is different. In headsets like the original Oculus Rift, the Oculus Quest, the Vive, and the Valve Index, you have a slider to adjust the spacing of the displays and the lenses to provide optimal comfort and clarity for your IPD. With the Rift S, however, the displays and lenses are fixed in place for an optimal IPD of around 64mm. Now this means that if you have an IPD above 68 or lower than 60, you may want to look elsewhere. And I think this is one of the biggest mistakes Oculus made with this headset, essentially limiting the market for its use. Now I have a fairly low IPD of 60mm, and I can still use the headset without issues for long periods of time, but it's not perfect. I've heard people with higher IPDs have more issues with the Rift S than those with lower IPDs, so just bear that one in mind. When you're out of this optimal IPD range, between sort of 60 and 68, you're more likely to encounter eye strain, and the virtual world will seem a bit off, which can become uncomfortable over time. You can easily find out your IPD before buying one by using the free app on iPhone called iMeasure, which I've linked in the description down below, or you could do it the manual way by physically measuring using a ruler from the center of each pupil in a mirror. Now back to the positives. The controllers. The redesigned Oculus Touch controllers, which are used for both the Quest and Rift S, are comfortable to use, and the buttons are well laid out and will be instantly intuitive to gamers used to using gamepads. With rubberized grips and knurled thumbsticks, these controllers offer precise inputs and feel good in your hand. The thumbsticks and buttons also have capacitive touch sensors, meaning that even resting your thumbs on the thumbstick or buttons will be represented in the virtual world. The controllers use hidden infrared LEDs discreetly dotted around the ring, so they can be tracked by the headset. Each controller takes a single AA battery and can last up to a few weeks of use before needing to be replaced. For the hardcore VR gamer though, I'd recommend investing in some rechargeable batteries like the Panasonic Eneloops, and I've linked them in the description down below. My only gripe with the controllers is that the battery door, which is held in place by magnets, can begin to slide off in your hands when playing intensive games like Beat Saber. I've opted to use some grips from Mammut, which stops this completely and adds a strap which attaches the controllers to your hands in a similar fashion to that of the Valve Index controllers. These will also add some length to the controller grip if you have larger hands. Again, I've linked to them in the description down below if you want to check them out. Now let's talk about the tracking. This is achieved by using 5 tracking cameras dotted around the headset. 2 on the front panel, 1 on either side, and 1 on top of the headset. Oculus call this the Oculus Insight system, and quite frankly, it's raised the bar and set the standard for inside-out tracking for VR headsets. Due to the placement of the cameras, it provides the biggest tracking volume for an inside-out tracked headset available on the market right now. It will be really interesting to see if the upcoming Vive Cosmos does a better job with its additional 6th camera. camera. I'd really like to see these improvements in inside-out tracking technology made to the Windows mixed reality range of headsets, which are desperately due for an update. Inside-out tracking isn't perfect on the Oculus Rift S and works in 98% of the situations, which is going to be good enough for most gamers. If you're a hardcore competitive player though, you'll probably favour the more precise lighthouse tracking of the HTC Vive and Valve Index. So before we get into my conclusion, here's a few tips that I've learned along the way. The Rift S comes with a 15-foot long cable with single DisplayPort and USB 3 connections. I've been able to successfully extend these cables to a further 6 foot by using DisplayPort and USB 3 extension cables, and I've put links to those cables in the description down below. As the Rift S uses DisplayPort, it can't be used with laptops that only have HDMI outputs. A DisplayPort to mini DisplayPort adapter comes in the box, but I've not heard any reports of people successfully using an adapter to convert DisplayPort to HDMI, so please bear that in mind. Whilst on the subject of cables, I'd also recommend using a Velcro strap or something similar to move the cable on the headset itself to the back of the head strap. Out of the box, there's a hook on the side, but this means that the cable hangs over your left shoulder, which can really get in the way. Just leave enough slack at the back for the cable to slide through and allow the adjustment mechanism to still move freely. My final tip is to download and install the Oculus Tray Tool. This is a third-party app that I've been using for years now. With this application, you can increase the super sampling, turn off USB power management, and my favorite feature of all is the auto audio switcher. This means that when you turn the headset on, it switches automatically to use the headset's audio and mic, and when you close the Oculus software, it will automatically revert back to your desktop audio options. Really, really handy. So here's my conclusion. Despite the headset's flaws, for the price of $399 US, it's hands down the best VR headset you can buy for that price right now. Personally, I've completely moved to the Rift S over my original Rift, and I quickly took down all my Rift sensors after the Rift arrived in the office. And personally, I wouldn't go back, as I do enjoy the slight upgrade in the visual department. And even though I have a Valve Index here in the office, I actually favour using the Rift S in some games. No Man's Sky is a great example of where I actually prefer to use the Rift S over the Index, and this is because that game uses a lot of thumbstick control, and the thumbsticks on the Rift S are far superior to those on the Valve Index. Like I said before, if you're a competitive player and really only want the best, then maybe look at the Valve Index, the Vive Pro, or stick with the original CV1 for now. However, if you're new to VR, you really can't go wrong with this headset, and I would wholeheartedly recommend it to VR newcomers. A lot of people also ask me if they should get an Oculus Rift S or the Oculus Quest, and the answer is simple. If you own a VR-capable PC, go for the Rift S. If you don't, get the Quest. With Oculus Connect 6 just around the corner, hopefully we'll get a look at the roadmap Oculus have planned for the future and find out how long we'll have to wait for a true second-generation Rift. Okay, so there we have it. That's the good and bad points of the Oculus Rift S. And hopefully this helps some of you out there make an informed decision on whether this is the right VR headset for you. Thankfully, most of the flaws, other than the fact it's got a fixed IPD, can be fixed with some accessories, and overall I think the Rift S is a solid headset in my opinion. For the price, right now there's nothing else on the market that can compete with the things that it does right, like the display, the optics, the content library, controllers, and the excellent Oculus Insight tracking system. But this, of course, is all just my opinion. Let me know what you guys and girls think in the comments down below. Do you have an Oculus Rift S? How are you finding it? Or are you considering other headsets on the market? Maybe you're holding out for a Vive Cosmos. I'd love to know in the comments down below. Leave a like if you like this video, make sure you're subscribed for all my future content, and as always, I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.